Thank you for being here. In today's episode, I'm going to focus mostly on the brakes and tie up a few other little loose ends. We'll take the brakes as far as we can get them today. Maybe I'm missing some more pieces, I don't know. And we're also going to show off the new lift. If you don't know, I got a new lift. Yes, check that video right here.
Garage time.
Having this lift should not only make working on this car easier, but it also should help you guys see what I'm doing, you know, with some better camera angles and such. So I'm really excited about it. Okay, so the brakes are mocked up on the car, and I've got them taped up because I wasn't sure they were going to clear the cookie cutters, but they actually do fit. These are 6-piston calipers, CNC aluminum, lightweight, just amazing. One of the first things I want to look at is completing the brake lines all the way out to the calipers. So currently, this is the way the stock brake line works. When you turn the wheel, this line just flexes onto a clip where it attaches to the strut. And so this is a pretty safe system. And then from here to the caliper is a hard line. So Chris provides either a banjo bolt here, or I can go directly into the caliper with the brake fitting. So the choice is to go from here up to here with a hard line, or potentially just go from here all the way back to here with a flex line. Now, for the purpose of like parts availability and so forth, I thought I would just go with the stock brake line. Okay, it looks like the internal shape of this is designed for the double din flare, just like Porsche uses. So I'm going to go ahead and use this and just go straight from here right to here with a hard line. And then for brake lines, I have this stainless steel line. This is from Stop Tech. And this one is longer, much longer. But to be honest, I'm not 100% sure this is the right brake line for the front. This very well could be the rear brake line. I'm not even sure. You can't even blow through this. This is probably the original brake line. You know, like I told you, this car has been sitting for at least 20 years. And I can't even blow through here at all. So this is completely swollen shut. So I'm just going to check the length on this. I don't have the retainer clips on yet, but I like the longer length there. It's just less, you know, less pulling and binding on the cable or on the line. So I think this is the correct length for the front. See, it kind of goes in a nice curved shape there. These lines are really nice. It has this rubber strain relief on it too. So I'm going to use these here in the front. These are the other lines that I have. These are a little bit shorter. These are designed for the rear. And when I compare them to this old one, I find that this is about the correct size. So this must have been for the rear, and this one I can actually blow through too. Okay, here's a good shot of the pistons. They're hollow stainless pistons. There's 6 of them, so 3 on this side, and then there's, you know, 3 more over here on this side. Now, the cool thing with this too, it's been engineered such that the diameter of this piston is slightly larger to put a little bit more force on the trailing edge of the brake pad. So as the force acts on the pad, it tends to sort of, you know, twist it this way. Well, this just puts a little more force on the trailing end, which is really cool. I like that. So if I was to go straight shot, the line would go right over the top of this bolt. That would make it really difficult to get that bolt out. So I'm gonna arrange my brake line right now to come, you know, straight out, jog up, and then jog over. I just ended up with a really super simple shape. Okay, I think I got the hard line figured out, and this flex line is going to be okay. I got to find the clips. Next thing is to do something about this rotor. Now this is the Carrera rotor from, I think it's like whenever the Carreras were, 89 or something like that. So this is much thicker, and I think it has some room to be resurfaced. If not, I can just buy a new one, but I'm gonna see if I can take this to the machine shop and have them resurface it, and then I'll paint it so it looks better. So I did the Rebel Racing bushings on the passenger side. I made a video about it, but now I'm gonna finish this side while it's up in the air and I can have access to it. Just did a really quick spray job with the rattle can here on this arm, just to make it look a little bit better. This is gonna get modified in the future because this is the sway bar attachment and that is not gonna stay there. That's for the underbody sway bar and I'm going through the body. I don't have the time or materials to do that modification today, so we're gonna do that sometime in the future, probably when I do the strut modification too. I just love this part. These are cemented in and fully torqued down, and this arm just falls down on its own. So it's a completely free suspension system. This torsion bar has been fully lubed up. This is the stock 18.9 or 18.8 torsion bar. Just gonna put that back in. The rotors have come back from being surfaced and they are right at the minimum. So I'm not gonna use these long term, but they're perfectly fine for driving around the street and stuff. Once I get sort of some track use, I will probably swap these out for some brand new ones. Okay, what started out as a simple brake line has turned into kind of a whole overhaul here of this front suspension. I'm gonna come back at a later date and probably replace the bearings, replace the rotor, clean up the hub. But at this point in time, I'm really just trying to get this car to drive. I'm not sure why I got this upside down, but that's the way it is. Okay, sorry guys, I had done this twice. I repositioned the rotor on the hub in a new spot. I'm trying to get the run out to a reasonable number. and I think I got it. You can see a little dip right here. That's probably just because it's these are all old parts. But I got the run out to about 2 or 3 thousandths of an inch, so this is good to go. Okay, the other thing I want to check out and make sure they fit are these brake pads. I got these brake pads from Hawk. These are their street compound. Now Hawk makes a lot of racing compounds. I just went for the street compound. I think it's going to serve my purposes best, and who knows, you can always upgrade. One thing to note is this box of pads, I mean there's both fronts in here, is heavier than one of the calipers. Pretty light caliper, pretty heavy pads. Hawk Performance. These are not stock Porsche pads, just like these aren't stock Porsche brakes. So these are unique to these calipers. And they should slip right in. Oh yeah. So these just go in and drop in place, just like that. Supposed to be quiet on the street and doesn't take a whole lot of temperature in order for them to start working. That's why I went with these. They have better pads available for these calipers that go all the way up into like, they don't even start working until they get to like 300 degrees Fahrenheit. So I didn't want to get those. But lots of options with these calipers and lots of options with Hawk Performance. I don't know if this is a factory safety paint here, but clearly the factory liked Bahama Yellow. Here's the piece I need to replicate out of brake tubing. So I'm just going to estimate the length. Like that. Roll it around. Roll it like that. And then roll it like that. Should be right there. And these are practically 90. It looks like this one is a little less than 90. This one's about 90. So I guess I'll just line it up the best I can, right like that. Perfect. The other thing to check before I bend the next piece is it's going to fit in the flaring tool. Oftentimes the order of operation is important. So for instance, I just put that bend in there and I put the sleeve on it, because the sleeve's not going to rotate around that. Now there's no room to put the flare on the end because these bending dies are pretty thick. So I've already wasted this piece. Now is also a good time to make sure these brake fittings or tubing nuts actually fit in like they're supposed to. So these are metric, and that works both sides. And then this is the banjo fitting that goes on the caliper. And that fits on there well too. So now I just need to find a way to cut and bend and flare the tube in the right order. So now the challenge is to be able to bend it. So let's see if I can get that tight bend in there. This time I got to put this on first. There's plenty of room. Okay, this is not very close. This bend here was too long, mostly because of the bender. So I'm gonna, use this as a learning experience, see if it fits in the car, but I'm not very hopeful. It actually fits. I got it connected, but it's not perfect. You know, it's pretty close to the caliper right here. There's probably at least it's one thickness of the brake line, 3/16 right there. That's never gonna rub. These are tightened down fairly tight. The only thing is this is pointing up just a little bit, and it's not 100% perpendicular or straight up and down here, but it's not bad. I'm gonna do one for the other side and see if I can just cheat it a little bit shorter on this leg right here, and it should be actually okay. Here's where it starts to get a little innovative. This ferrule or line nut here won't allow me to close this clasp on here, so there's nothing to grip the tubing as I pull it around. So I got to put it in my vise in order to bend this, so bear with me. Yeah, that's not ideal. Not bad, but it's got a funky little end to it. So what happened on that, it did bring the bend closer, but now there's kind of a double bend. There's a little bend right here, and then this is straight, and then it bends again. So I just need to correct this bend right there. I should be able to do that by hand. So I got a piece of old brake line. Now I clamp this in the vise and try to just bend that back. So it doesn't look like a lot different than the previous one, but it's enough to, I think, fit just a little bit better. So let's try that out. There is more clearance now between the caliper, which is good. I mean, the caliper is not going to go anywhere closer anyways. And then it just makes a nicer connection perpendicular to the banjo and the caliper. So those small changes just made it a little bit nicer. So I'm really happy with this. Also, I'm going to be putting in, there's a little clip up here that kind of keeps things in place. I'm going to put that in now. And I think while I'm here, I'll try the pads in the calipers to make sure they're the right thickness. So here it is, everything kind of finger tight. There is a big clip that goes in this little slot right here. That keeps this secure. It's a heavy duty clip. It's kind of a pain to put it in. I'm not going to put it in. Everything's just finger tight. And then you can see this part here is all original stock. It has a retainer clip. Yeah, there's the stock retainer clip right there, and it's all fitting snug. And then the pads are in place, definitely loose because there's no pressure on the pistons. They're all the way retracted, but they're the right size. This will work just fine. So I'm happy. Everything with the brakes here, at least on one corner, is essentially ready to go. Everything needs its final torque. Make sure the correct washers are in place, and obviously do the brake bleeding and stuff, but this is ready to go. Sitting a little lower in the front now, but it's adjustable, no big deal. Next time I send the lift, I'll crank it up some. All right, that looks good on the left front. I had hoped to get all 4 tires done today, but that's just not gonna happen. Hopefully you guys can relate. Things take longer than you originally plan on. Got my hands really dirty for 1 tire. It took a little more time to wait for the paint to dry on that suspension arm. Plus I took the rotors to be turned. That was like a 2-hour ordeal. So that's all I have for today. Check back next week. I do have the parts I need for the engine. I hope they're gonna work. The circlips are a little different style, but that should allow me to put the engine together and keep moving forward. So thanks again for watching. Take care.